Hello and welcome to another episode of the Clementine and Roses podcast. My name's Amelia and I'm your host. I hope everyone's doing okay and everyone's had a good start of their week. I'm recording on a Thursday because I can't record this weekend, but for the moment my week's been great. Not much has happened. Yesterday I saw one of my best friends and that was fun because we hadn't seen each other for a while. Tomorrow's my birthday and I'm turning 20, which is very fun. We're going to go to Paris and go to a few thrift shops and also going to go to WH Smith to get some books. And then in the evening we're just going to have a chill, meal and cake and presents and stuff. So it will be fun. So today's episode is going to be a few tips, 20 tips to be precise, on how to be more environmentally friendly. So my goal in this episode isn't to tell you more about the environment and what's happening, because I'm hoping, and I think most of us already have a grasp and an idea of the importance of the situation and the importance of global warming. Loads of us see it like on social media, on the news. There are loads of manifestations that happen, a bit less with COVID, but before COVID there were loads of manifestations happening for the environment, and I think that the younger generation, our generation, definitely understands the importance of saving our planet. I don't really want to talk about that too much because I feel like we already kind of know what's happening, but I just want to give a few easy tips to help the planet. To stick to this kind of environmental theme, I thought I would record outside today. So if you hear birds, traffic, well, maybe probably not traffic, but if you hear birds or dogs barking or other things, it's because I'm outside. So I hope it won't be too distracting and that it will be fun, a different experience. I haven't heard that many podcasts that record outside, so I thought it would be fun to do this. Before I start, I also wanted to say that I am definitely not perfect. I'm not zero waste. I don't live a zero waste life, but I do think that it's important to implement different little things into our routines to help us live a more eco-friendly life. Also, don't put too much pressure on yourself. If 1,000 people do tiny little steps, then in the end it will make a huge and a massive impact. So it's just being consistent and doing these tiny things that will really help our planet. At least that's what I believe. But as always, before we start, I wanted to say 3 things I'm grateful for this week. So first of all, yesterday, as I said, I saw one of my best friends and we did a really amazing and pretty photo shoot for the podcast. So you can expect many pretty pictures coming your way. Honestly, it turned out great. She's a really good photographer, so it turned out really well. That was very fun. I'm very grateful for that. The second thing is I bought myself some flowers, and it may seem very small and boring, but it made me really happy. It's given some colour to my room. It smells nice. Just livens up my room, so that's cool. They're pink, purple and white, and it's a really pretty bouquet, so I'm happy. It kind of brings more colour to my room basically. And the third thing I'm really grateful for is that at the moment in the evening, well, like right now when I'm recording, it's like 5:30, the birds just make so much noise, it's so relaxing. So at this time of night I tend to open my window in my bedroom, get out my yoga mat and put on a candle and do some yoga, and it's just been really nice and relaxing. So I'm very grateful that I've got to do that at the moment. So yep, those are the 3 things I'm grateful for this week. Hopefully you have a few things that you're grateful for this week. Maybe write them down in a journal. It's always a good idea to be grateful. It can only bring you more joy and happiness. So that's my little tip. Okay, so getting into the episode, let's start by let's just give my 20 tips to be more eco-friendly. Okay, the first tip is something that has been said and resaid and everyone knows it, but avoiding single-use plastic. plastic bottles, plastic bags, plastic straws, knives, forks, anything. Just avoiding it the maximum. It's so bad. You know that plastic, once you throw it away, if it's not recyclable, well, I mean, all the plastic that the world's ever used, most of it is still out there. Like, it can't be recycled. It's just like stocking up, and we don't want to put more plastic into that dump. So instead of buying plastic bottles, we get a reusable bottle. Instead of using plastic straws, you can buy bamboo straws, or what are the other, metal straws. Instead of using cutlery, like plastic cutlery that they give you, or even plastic plates, well, bring your own cutlery. There are really tiny weeny ones that you can put into your bag, and honestly, it's better to have something in your bag every day that's maybe a tiny bit heavier, but that you can reuse, than just getting loads of plastic that is eventually just going to end up in a dump, which is not fun. Like, also bags, like even shopping bags that say they're recyclable, well, maybe they probably are, but it's still something that you're throwing away, and it's better to have like a tote bag that you bring everywhere with you that you can just use and reuse, than to get a plastic bag, even if it's recyclable. Use it once or twice and then throw it out. It's still making garbage, and it's still something that you're only going to use 2 times. It's not that hard to get a tote bag. You can honestly find some for a really cheap price, and it's an easy gesture that you can do to really help the planet. Also, the plastic bags that said that are recyclable, even if you do recycle them, or even if they are recycled, or when they are recycled, it's still using an enormous amount of energy to recycle the bag. So an energy, you know, it makes more CO2, which is one of the main causes of global warming. And, you know, so you might as well just buy a bag that you can use every day, which will last you a long time, and you don't have to throw away, except, well, no, you never have to throw it away. Even if it has a hole, you can just stitch it back up. So that would be tip number 1. Tip number 2, which is very much linked to tip number 1, is to carry eco utensils, eco tools in your everyday bag. For example, always have a water bottle in your bag, fill it up, bring it with you, and then you can fill it up throughout your day if you find somewhere. Also, having like metal straws or bamboo straws, as I said before, in your bag can really help. Same thing goes for knives and forks that you can put in your bag. So that would be tip number 2, is to carry a few ecological utensils in your bag. And also in your bag, what I like to do is, in my everyday bag, I put in a tote bag. Like that, if for any reason I end up going shopping, or I end up having to buy something, I don't get a plastic bag. I can just take my tote bag out of my handbag and use that to put in all my things that I've bought in the shop. Okay, tip number 3, well, try to be mindful when you're shopping about plastic. For example, when you buy bananas, instead of buying bananas that are wrapped in plastic, just buy bananas, you know, that are by themselves with no plastic around them. Because it's kind of, when you think about it, it's so silly to buy bananas with plastic wrapped around them, because the world, like the earth, has already given a kind of protective layer to the banana, like its skin that you peel off. That's the protection to the banana. It doesn't need an extra load of plastic on top. Like, same thing for avocados. There's no point in putting plastic around it. Same thing for kiwis and all those kind of things. There's no point of putting plastic around the fruit. My 4th tip is really easy. It takes you like 2 minutes to do, and then you don't have to do anything for life, which is to use the search engine Ecosia, ECOSIA. Basically, every time you do a research with this app, all of the ad revenue, it goes into planting new trees. So every time you research something on Ecosia, it basically helps you plant trees. And I think, wait, let me check. Oh yeah, every 45 researches you do on Ecosia, 1 tree is planted Like, you've planted a tree. And so I was looking, I've done 1,941 researches on Ecosia, which means I've planted around 43 trees, which is so cool because I haven't done anything except put it as my main search engine. That's the only thing I've done, and I've planted 43 trees. That's so easy. I feel like everyone should do this. Plus, it really takes 2 minutes to do, and then like you're planting trees without really doing anything. Like, you don't even realize that you're doing anything. So that's very cool and super simple. Tip number 5, also really known. Take your bike, walk, or bus, train over the car. Well, instead of the car, when it's possible. I know that with COVID, lots of people don't want to take the train, don't want to take the bus, which is totally understandable. But when you have to take the car, take the car. But when you can walk or when you can bike, then you might as well bike or walk. First of all, you're getting fresh air, which is better than staying in a car. When you walk or when you bike, you can listen to a podcast, you can listen to music, you have a bit more free time to do what you want, and it's fun and it's better for the planet. So that would be tip number 5. Tip number 6 is to shop locally when it's possible. Could be more expensive, which I understand, but also you're helping farmers around you. Well, not only farmers, but farmers or artisans around you. Also try to buy things that are in season, because, you know, shipping things to your country is really bad for the planet. It takes the plane, the boat, and that just releases so much CO2 into the air, which is not good. So yeah, I know sometimes it can be hard and you're like, but I love eating avocados. That's what I do. I eat avocados all the time when I shouldn't, because they're not in season in February in France, and it's really hard, which is what I mean when I said at the beginning, like, don't pressure yourself. You're doing your best. Try to implement all of these tips, but if from time to time you don't do one, it's not the end of the world. You're doing the best you can. Okay, now on to tip number 7, which is to cut down on fast fashion. You need to do your research on this. Basically, fast fashion is when a company makes clothes that you can buy at a very low cost, and it's the kind of thing that you're going to buy once and never use again. So there's literally no point in buying the clothes except for like the one party where you really want to wear that dress and then you never wear it again. There's no point. You might as well invest in some really good clothes. Buying fast fashion is one of the worst things for our planet. Making jeans uses so much water. I don't remember how much it is, but I know that making jeans uses a lot of water. Making t-shirts also uses a lot of energy. Most people, when they work for these kind of big shops that do fast fashion, they don't even get a minimum wage. They are paid like nothing an hour. And it's like when, I don't remember how many years ago, but that manufacturer collapsed. I can't remember if it was from H&M or Zara, but one of the two, and loads of people died, and that's because they didn't have enough money from making these clothes to have a good place to produce them, and we're all buying them after, and we're like, yes, a t-shirt for £5, $5, whatever you want. Basically, when you're buying from fast fashion, you're kind of, in a way, it's kind of like you're voting for it, and you're like, okay, I'm buying fast fashion, so that means I support fast fashion. That means you're supporting buying clothes once and throwing them out the window. That means you're supporting bad working conditions and people who are paid like nothing to be making all of your clothes. On the other hand, if you try to maybe buy things that are maybe a bit more expensive but that are going to last you for a long time, then, you know, you're voting, you're using your vote, you're using your money on a better environment. Anyway, so I think shopping is kind of like voting in a weird way. Like, for example, Shein, Zaful, awful. Like, awful. Zara, H&M, also really not that great. Brandy Melville, Urban Outfitters, also not that great. And I know it's really hard. I struggle with this as well. I love buying clothes from Urban Outfitters and Brandy, or even like a simple t-shirt from H&M. but there are cheaper ways to get clothes that are way more environmentally friendly, which is my tip number 8, which is to shop at more eco-friendly shops, if you will. For example, you can go thrifting. You can either go to thrift shops where you can find loads of things, or you can do it online on Vinted, on Depop. You can find t-shirts for like 2 to 3 euros, or pounds or dollars, whatever you want. And it's way better for the planet because it's not something that's going to waste. It's just reusing second-hand items. Really helps instead of throwing things away and making more garbage, or getting something from that someone else doesn't want anymore for a cheaper price than if you got it in the store. It's better for the environment because it means that you don't need to produce more. We're just reusing what we already have, which I think is really great. But of course, if you don't like thrifting, or you want to buy things that are new, there are great ecological shops or eco-friendly shops. Of course, they're going to cost more money, but I think it's kind of normal. When you buy from these shops, you're also, giving someone their salary, and you want to give them a good salary. You want to give them at least the minimum wage, even more. And you're also getting good materials, and you're paying for everyone behind who's making that t-shirt, or making that jean, or making that jumper. And so it seems really normal to me that the clothes that you buy may cost a bit more, but then you can buy staple items that you'll use loads of times. So a few shops that I like that are more eco-friendly. Everlane is really good. What else? 100 Club, so cool. They only make 100 of each clothing that they make. Well, each clothing item that they have, they only make it 100 times. I think it's a few students who made it in London. It's very, very cool. I love that brand. Also, Organic Basics, really good. It's just one of your basics, but all organical. Kind of says it in the title. But yeah, those are 3 of my favorite more eco-friendly shops. But I also personally love shopping on Vinted and Depop, but I do prefer Vinted and Depop. Just find it easier to find stuff. Okay, tip number 9. Still in the same kind of theme, which is to resell or donate your clothes. Don't throw your clothes away. Like, if you don't want them and you don't want to sell them, like if you don't have the time or something, well, donate them. Just put them in a bag and give them to your local, I'm not sure what it's called. You can Google online. Well, don't Google. Go on Ecosia and look where the closest shop to donate your clothes is, and give it. At least you're giving a new home to your clothes, and you're not just throwing it away in a garbage bin with loads of other clothes. Who knows where. You can also resell your clothes. Vinted, Depop. In France, Vestiaire Collective. Can't remember. One of the two. You can sell your clothes on there. And yeah, just look what's available in your country. But I know that Vinted and Depop are very big. I think they're international. Tip number 10 would be to avoid palm oil. To produce palm oil, people tear down rainforest, and they turn down whole ecosystems, a home to thousands of animals, just to plant palm trees to then make palm oil. But rainforests are so important. They regulate temperature. They're like one of the lungs of the earth, and we need rainforests. And palm oil is so bad, and it's found in foods that aren't that great for you either. So just try to be careful when you're shopping. Check if there's no palm oil. I know there's palm oil in Nutella, which isn't great. I think there's still palm oil in Nutella. Anyway, you just have to look on your products. Be careful. This goes for palm oil, but it also goes for everything. Just be conscious of what's in your product and what it entails. Tip number 11 is to volunteer for an ecological association, or even, I know that you can go with your friends or families, and they have these kind of eco days where you can go to the beach, or you can go to your city, and you just spend the whole day picking up everything that's on the floor or the trash, and that's really cool. I think that's a fun concept. Also, there's this app which is so cool, which is called Green Air. So green and then the letter R. And first of all, it gives you loads of ecological little videos and ideas and what to do, what not to do, how to help the planet, what's damaging it. And it also has this really cool thing where it will tell you where, basically, let's say you see an enormous place with loads of garbage near your house, or when you're walking along the streets, but you don't have the time right now to go and pick everything up. Like many of us do. Like, imagine you're going to work and you see an enormous pile of garbage and you're like, but you can't really do anything about it. So what you do is you take a picture, you put it on the app, and it sends, and you put the location of it, and it sends this kind of notification to people who live around. And people who live around on their weekends or on their free times, they can then go to this place and clean up what's there and bring it to their garbage disposal place. And yeah, that's it. And then, you've cleaned up a place, you've helped other people clean it up. I know a few people who've done it, and the app is really cool. I think you could go somewhere with your friends, make a day out of it, try to do the most possible, and it will feel really rewarding at the end of the day to know that you've picked up so much garbage and you've helped the planet in a little way, but still in a very important way. Next tip number 11, is to use paper wisely. Of course, everyone uses paper, it's so normal, but don't only write on one side, try and write on both sides. If there's a piece of paper that comes out of your printer and there's an enormous ink stain on it and you don't want to use it for any reason, keep it and make a scrap paper drawer in your house where you can put all those kind of papers that you can't really use them to hand in an essay or something, but you can still use them. Like when you're doing exercises and you need a scrap paper to write things down, then you take one of those instead of taking a brand new piece of paper that could be used for something else. Basically, don't throw out paper unless you've used it up to its maximum capacity. Same thing for makeup wipe. There are these makeup cloths that you can get, and you just put them in the washing machine once you're done. Maybe get 4 or 5, and when there's loads of makeup on it, 'cause you've had to take your makeup up, then put it in the wash, but then you get them again. Well, you get to reuse them. It's way better than keeping makeup wipes, because first of all, makeup wipes, even if it's just cotton, you're still throwing something away every single day or every 2 days, or I don't know how much you wash your face or put on makeup, but every time you're using it, you then throw it away. Plus, most of the time it comes in a plastic bag, which is another plastic thing that we don't really want to be using, so might as well invest in a few cotton discs that you can use to wash your face or take off your makeup and reuse them. They'll last you all your life, so it's a great investment. Plus, in the end, you're actually winning money. I mean, you're saving money. You buy the makeup removal cloths, the reusable ones. Maybe you have to spend 20 euros to get 3 or 4. And then that's it. For the rest of your life, that could be it. Whereas when you're getting makeup cotton buds, you're maybe spending only 3 euros to get loads. But you're spending 3 euros every month, every 2 months. And at the end, that just accumulates and it will be way more than 20 euros or 20 pounds. So you're saving money. Tip number 13 is to be mindful when you're recycling. So when I say this, I'm thinking of 2 things. One, if you have a bin under your desk and you throw paper in it, but sometimes you're also going to throw other things that aren't recyclable in your bin, just be mindful and be careful when you take that bin out to separate what's going to be put in the recycling bin and what's going to be put in the normal bin. Don't just throw everything in the normal bin when there's loads of pieces of paper that you could recycle. And another thing is to be really careful when you buy products, if it's milk, tins, cans, any kind of skincare product, be careful and look at what's written underneath, because most of the time it says that you can only recycle half of the bottle, or not the top, only the bottom bit, and then you just have to put what's recyclable in the recycling bin and what's not recyclable in the other bin. Tip number 14 is to occasionally try and have a veggie meal. So cutting down on meat. Lots of people do it for breakfast, like except if you have charcuterie, bacon and stuff for breakfast. Then most of us don't eat meat for breakfast, so loads of people are vegetarian at least for one meal a day. But then from time to time, try and not eat meat. There are loads of studies that show why it's better for the environment. There's this cool website which is called Vegetarian Calculator online, and you put in like how many meals you've had a vegetarian meal for, or even vegan, and it will tell you how many liters of water you've saved, how many animals you've saved, how many crops you've saved, and it's really fun to see what you've saved. Like one meal a week is great. So that would be tip number 14. Tip number 15, cut down on food waste. So try to only cook as much as you need, and if you have extras, then try to make a little compost in your garden. If that's not accessible to you because you live in a flat, that's fine, but if you can, try to compost. It's always good. Tip number 16 is to be very careful and mindful about what sun cream you wear in the summer. Many sun creams have super toxic chemicals in it, like what's it called, oxybenzone, which is really bad for coral reefs and for the ocean. It's so bad for the fish, for the plants, for the algae, everything in the ocean. It's so horrible for it. So just try to be careful with what kind of sun cream you wear in the summer, because you're putting the sunscreen on your face and your body, and then you're going in the ocean, and then it's attacking all the fish, all the ecosystem, and that's really not that great. So coral reefs are so important. They're also one of the lungs of the earth, so you have to be really careful. Many sunscreens will say if they're coral reef safe or not. If they don't say it, then they probably aren't. But again, you have to do your research, see what works and what doesn't work for you. Tip number 17. Wow, already tip number 17. Okay. Tip number 17 is to be mindful with your water use. So when you're brushing your teeth, this seems so simple to say, but don't leave the water running. When you're washing your clothes, maybe try and put it on eco wash, on a cold wash. When you can, don't put your clothes in the dryer, but let them air dry. Try to take more showers and baths. A bath from time to time is fine. I need a bath from time to time. I need to relax, have my candle and read, and that's great. But try to have more showers and baths, and try to have quick showers, and don't put water too hot. This is also hard for me. I like having really hot showers, but it's better to have cold ones. Well, not freezing ones, but warm, not scalding hot. Even doing the dishes. Well, if you don't need to put something in the dishwasher and it's really easy to just rinse it and maybe scrub it a bit, then do that. Try to limit how many times you put your dishwasher on a day. Okay, tip number 18 is to unsubscribe from all spams that you have that aren't interesting for you on your email. I was at school the other day and they taught us that one email with like a picture or a video in it has the same amount of energy as keeping a light on for a whole day. Isn't that just mad? So basically, don't send emails back if it's just to say, okay, thank you, I've got your email. There's no point. It uses so much energy. You have to limit how many emails you send and unsubscribe from spams. I read this article in The Guardian that said that 78% of all the emails you get are spams. For example, if you're getting emails from Harista, Abercrombie, H&M, Zara that are saying, ooh, sales, quickly, buy this t-shirt, 50% off today, what kind of boring emails that you just put in the bin anyway, might as well unsubscribe from their list. It can take a bit of time to do every single one, but you'll be saving a lot of energy. Tip number 19 and 20 are a bit different because, you'll see and understand. But tip number 19 is to find out why you're trying to help the planet. What's your reason to do it? I feel like if you don't have a reason and you don't know why you're doing something, then after a while you're just going to stop. Everyone has their reason. Maybe you live near the sea and you see that your sea is always polluted and there are loads of horrible garbages in it and trash in it, and you're like, I don't want to see this. And so your main reason to try and live a more eco-friendly life is to save the sea that's around you and that you see every single day. Maybe your reason is because you want to make the world a better place for when your children live. Maybe your reason is because every time you go outside or you walk on the street, you just see loads of litter everywhere and it disgusts you and it makes you really mad. Maybe the reason you're doing it is because you've seen like catastrophes or horrible catastrophes of things on the news that really shock you and you're like, I really want to do something, I just want to help. But basically you need to find why you want to help the planet, maybe write it down, and it will give you motivation to do all of these tips and try to do your best to save the planet. And this goes with tip number 20. Tip number 20 is to educate yourself and others. Keep researching, looking what's good, what's not good for the planet. There are so many things I haven't talked about in this episode, but you have to research and also tell others. If you see one of your friends like littering or something, don't scream on them, don't shame them, but be like, hey, you know, that's not really that great. Maybe next time you should put it in the bin, not throw it on the floor. But, you know, if you don't tell people things, then they're not going to know. So you might as well just be helping your friends and people who are around you and who you can speak to every single day. And yeah, keep researching. There are new studies that are going to come out every day saying that we should be doing this and we shouldn't be doing this, and it's important to keep up to date with everything. Those were my 20 tips to be more environmentally friendly. I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you hadn't realised, this is something that's very important to me. I would love to live a zero waste life, but it's really hard. A lot of effort is needed to have a zero waste life. And I'm not quite there yet, but I've done loads of little steps and I'm very proud of myself for doing what I've done. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that the noise outside wasn't too distracting and that it made you feel maybe a bit more calm, serene, more connected to nature, because that was my goal. Thank you so much for listening and I'll see you next week. Bye!